Alright, so everyone knows the importance of sleep, but chances are you aren't getting the best quality sleep possible, because if you were, you probably wouldn't have clicked on this video. But that's okay, because in this video I'm going to share with you the 5 essential things that I have learned in order to get the best quality of sleep possible. And if you get to the end of this video, you'll have all the tools and all the tips you need to get a better night's sleep tonight, and that's a promise. Alright, tip number 1 has to do with your sleep environment. So in order to get the best quality of sleep possible, research states that your room needs to be, 1, as dark as possible. In order to do this in my own room, I purchased blackout curtains that were really cheap and really easy to put up, and I put it up so that no light comes in the morning or street lights at night. The second thing you need to do is make sure your room is cold. They say that 65 degrees is the best temperature to sleep at, but that a range between 65 and 68 degrees is good enough. Another thing that research shows affects sleep negatively is having your phone right next to you by your bed when you are sleeping. Now, I know that many of you say, well, I use my phone as an alarm clock, but I think it's worth it to invest in a different alarm clock that is not your phone if you're going to be getting better sleep every night. This ties into the next recommendation that I have, is to invest in a sunrise alarm clock. Obviously, since your room is going to be completely blacked out now, that means the sun won't be coming in the room in the morning. So you'll need something in order to indicate to your body that it needs to start waking up. So you can substitute your phone for the sunrise alarm. And the good thing about the sunrise alarm is that you set your time that you want to wake up, and 30 minutes beforehand, it slowly starts getting lighter and lighter and lighter to emulate the same thing that the sun would do, so that you wake up actually feeling refreshed and not jarred out of your sleep. The last 2 things about sleep environment would be to have something to give off a little bit of white noise. For me, I use a fan in my room, just a small fan that gives off a nice humming sound. This is, I have found, helpful for getting good night's sleep and just relaxing the mind. And the second part is just to make sure you unplug all electronics that are giving off light. It might seem so minute that you don't have to unplug everything, but I really do find that if room is completely dark but there's still lights from electronics in the room, it does affect the sleep. Alright, so that is tip number 1, and that has to do with your sleep environment. Tip number 2 has to do with your pre-sleep routine. So I have a routine that I get into every night, and it's super important because we know that humans are creatures of habit. So if you have something each night that indicates to your body that, hey, it's time to start getting ready for bed, it's time to start slowing down, it's time to start producing melatonin for you to fall asleep quick and to have good quality sleep, then that is really helpful. So here's an example of my pre-sleep routine that has a lot of good tips in it that I have accumulated from my research, and you can put them into practice if you want. So about an hour before bed, I have an alarm that goes off my phone that says time to start winding down. At that point, I try to get away from screens like my laptop or the television or my phone, because they obviously give off blue light. I think at this point everybody knows that blue light inhibits your body from producing melatonin, which is necessary for going to sleep, and that's why your phone has settings like night mode, where the screen gets a little bit more orangish in tint. I also, at this time, put on the blue light blocking glasses that I have that eliminate some of the blue light from screens as well. At this point, I also go around my house and dim the lights just to start bringing the darkness in, telling my body that it's time to go to sleep. Then I'll get ready for bed, obviously take a shower, brush your teeth, get your change of clothes, all things of that sort. After you get ready for bed, you're going to want to transition into doing an activity that relaxes you. But remember, this is an activity without screens, so watching Netflix, watching a movie, doing something like that is not going to be ideal. What you're going to want to do is to do an activity, maybe something like reading or going to take a walk or doing some light stretching. Something that's going to get your mind to once again relax and calm down and signal that, hey, it's time to start wrapping it up for today. Either before or after this activity, what I like to do is go in my journal and write down the things that I had on my to-do list that didn't get done today, and the things that I still feel like I want to do, but obviously have run out of time to do in the day. And then I write those down for the next day, that way I don't have to have them on my mind when I get in bed. While I'm doing all these things, I like to light the same candle every night in my room. That way it starts to burn and it starts to accumulate the scent in the room, and then by the time I actually get to my bedroom, I walk in and it has the same scent that I am trying to use to habituate my brain into saying, hey, when this candle's on, when you walk into the room at this night and it's just completely dark, it's time to go to sleep. And the last thing, the thing that helps me actually get to go to sleep, is putting on an audiobook. I typically like to listen to a fiction book, and I set the audiobook to a sleep timer to go off in 15 minutes. That way I can close my eyes, listen to it, and usually around the 15-minute mark I'm dozing off, and then I fall asleep and it turns off and it's all good. Okay, so tip number 3 is the importance of sleep regularity. You need to have a set time that you go to sleep and wake up each day. We all kind of intuitively know this, but I have found this to truly be the case, and you need to stick to it even on the weekends if you can, give or take plus or minus 45 minutes. But you're gonna want to stick to a sleep schedule because your body needs to set its circadian rhythm, its natural sleep and wake clock. So do your best to stick to a set schedule. Tip number 4 for getting amazing sleep is to be conscious of what you're doing in the day that will set you up for an amazing night's sleep at night. So one of the things that research shows is really important is that first thing in the morning, if you can, go outside and get in the sun. Obviously some days are sunny, some days are not, but just being outside signals to your brain that it's daytime now, and the brightness of the day signals to your body that circadian rhythm start, which is really important because if you stay inside all day and you never experience that brightness that the sun actually brings, your body clock is off. So get outside first thing in the morning during your day. Another thing is sometimes I know during the day we like to maybe watch TV or do homework or do work in our beds because it's comfortable, but research shows that we shouldn't do anything except for sleeping in our bed. And if you are doing activities like research or work or homework, then you're going to be signaling to your brain that that area is an area for stimulation of the brain and hard work and not relaxation. Another important thing that you can do during your day to set yourself up for a great night's sleep is getting a good workout in. Now, on the dietary side, studies show that you should stop eating 3 hours before bed, and you should stop caffeine consumption 10 hours before bed. So you can just set a rule that no coffee or tea or anything like that after noon is ideal. And lastly, although it's extremely tempting, don't work into the night. Don't work straight up until you have to go to bed because your body has no time to prep and get ready for relaxation. Just try to set a time each day where you say, I'm done working after this point. For me, I've been trying to aim around 6 to 6:30. Tip number 5 is to realize that the idea of catching up on sleep during the weekends is really not helpful. Research and studies show that people that tried to catch up on their sleep during the weekends didn't actually improve their sleep that much, and they didn't improve the recovery that they thought they would have. I know it's easy to think that when you sleep 12, 13 hours on the weekend, that is helping you, but really what's helping you is actually getting the 8 hours that you really need, but you're not gaining back the sleep that you missed. You can't do that. That's why it's important to get good sleep each night. On this channel, I love to give practical research tips to help people live better lives on topics that are really important, like getting a good night's sleep. However, from experience, I know that these tips alone don't really cover the full manner of the thing. It doesn't really get into the deeper issue at hand. And so that's why I also love to cover the deeper issue at hand. So with that, I have to say, in regards to this issue of sleep and not getting a good night's sleep, it seems to me that in my experience, the only thing that can lead to the best quality of sleep possible is having a relationship with God that gives you the peace necessary in order to lay your head down at night in bed and truly close your eyes and feel perfectly fine. Because I think a lot of the times people could put these tips into place, but when they finally get in bed, they feel anxiety and pressure in their heart, and they can't go to sleep because of all the worries and cares that they have. I know that that feels terrible because I've also been there as well, when you are just restless and anxious. And for me, I have found so much peace in the fact that I can lay my head down at night. If I do have worries, anxieties on my heart, I can pray to God and ask Him to carry those things with me or take them from me, because I know that He can handle it. And as well, I feel perfectly fine, perfectly secure, and perfectly safe in this world. I don't have to worry about anything coming in my next day because I know God has my back and God is with me. And no matter what, everything's going to be okay. So even if I don't finish all the schoolwork or all the work that I wanted to that night, I know that maybe a little bit of a diminished grade is not going to crush my life, or I know that not working to the craziest deadlines to fulfill some anxiety-driven work rush that's not going to fulfill me because my work and my grades aren't the things that will promise me a better future, a good future. They don't secure me. What secures me is my relationship with God. And He secures me because He's with me and He's for me, and He's the one with the power to bring me through every trial and tribulation in life. So with that, I experience peace. And peace is the true key to having a good night's sleep. Sleep is really important. Obviously, our bodies are like the power packs of our souls. And if they're not charged well, then we just feel it in our days. I know I feel it. When I don't get enough sleep, it's harder to be kind and gentle and caring and patient with the people that I want to be. But when I get a good night's sleep, it is easier. So with the importance of sleep in mind, the two best examples that I know of people that slept really, really well are, one, a guy who was a king in the past. His story is written about in the Bible. His name was David. David said, "I lie down and sleep. I wake again because the Lord sustains me." He also said, "In peace I will lie down and sleep. For you alone, Lord, make me dwell in safety." These are the same kinds of things that I'm describing. And the best story about sleep that I have ever heard is the story of Jesus. After a long day of doing a lot of crazy ministry stuff, he and his friends go over in a boat to cross the other side of the sea. And obviously being exhausted, Jesus lays down to rest and sleep. During that whole traveling experience, a huge, crazy, life-threatening storm comes, and all his friends in the boat are freaking out because they think they're going to die. They are losing their minds, and they come up to Jesus and they say, "What are you doing? Why are you sleeping? Like, do you not care about us at all? Do you not love us?" And it's crazy because the dude was sleeping while everyone else was freaking out. I think this demonstrates the sleep goals that we all could have. I mean, in the midst of a crazy storm, a life-threatening storm, he was sleeping because he knew, one, that at the end of the day, his Father was in control, and that no matter what, he was going to be okay. The same kind of safety and security that David talks about, the same kind of safety and security that I feel when I lay my head down at night. And everyone else was freaking out. Obviously, the story ends with Jesus waking up and calming the storm himself, showing that he is the very nature of God as well. At the end of the day, we are restless until we find our rest in God. And if you feel restless, then I would say to you, maybe consider apprenticing yourself under Jesus, who is God himself, but also the best example of living the human life. And if you apprentice yourself to him and learn how to live the way that he lived, and learn how to do the things that he would do if he were you in your shoes, then you will experience life to the full. That's what Jesus came here for. He came here so that people could have life and have it to the full. That's what it says in John 10:10. And that's what I've experienced in my own personal life. And that invitation is extended to anybody because God is full of love and truly just wants as many people as possible to come into relationship with him, and he will restore them and make them into something that you can never imagine on how beautiful of a scale it will be. If you really want to have a good night's sleep, then these tips alone aren't enough, because if you're super stressed out when you hit the bed at night, you won't be able to get any relaxing and restorative sleep that you really want. So that's why you need to watch this video here on how to actually truly eliminate stress from your life. That way you can get the best sleep possible. But if you're curious about why I started to follow Jesus and enter into a relationship with God, because I actually grew up and was an atheist, then you can watch this video here to hear more about my story. So see you in one of those videos.